Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Kepler again, coming at you from Friday, April 17th. And for today's particular assignment, it is essentially going to be a summary of pretty much everything that you've done from Monday all the way through Thursday, kind of all putting it together in for Friday's assignment. Now, this is going to be a summary. We kind of done these before with our little expository pieces in class. Probably done them in English class, practicing for things like the STAR test. But for this particular assignment, there are a couple specific things I'm going to be looking for, especially since this is a summary type thing. I'm going to need to see in this particular assignment that you're taking information from either the extra things that we attach to the assignments themselves to make a coherent thought. Now, for this particular assignments, there are 3 ways that you can do it. Now, the first piece is kind of something like we've been doing in my GH class, but something that you can do as well. And that is writing a letter as from the point of view of a Texan living during the Great Depression, probably within the panhandle of Texas, because this is mostly where the Dust Bowl took place here in Texas. And you're going to be writing that letter to John Nance Garner, which you should have saw on Tuesday's work. He was from Texas. He was Roosevelt's vice president. And for that, if you want to choose that route, you're going to take the point of view of a Texan living in the panhandle about your experiences with the Dust Bowl. Should include the details of events about how it's affected your life. You've seen in a couple of resources how some people were affected by the Dust Bowl, how it affected them physically, mentally, socially, pretty much all the stuff. You probably Monday or Tuesday's work probably be the best place to look for some information like that. But that particular piece, you're going to be writing a letter. Now, if you're writing a letter to somebody about your experiences and you're giving examples of pieces of information about how it affected you directly, one, you're going to need to take the point of view of someone who lived there, who was living in those particular areas, who was most affected, how were they affected, some of the things they experienced. Those are all good things to look for if you're writing that letter. If you're going to write that letter, you're probably not going to write just a couple of sentences to a vice president. So please make sure if you're choosing that route, please make sure that you are making it, as a coherent thought. Give a few examples, at least 3 to 4. Probably should be good with an introduction and a conclusion. Probably should be pretty good for at least that first part. Remember, you are taking the point of view of someone living in Texas that has been affected by the Dust Bowl. Either, like I said, economically, because many people lost their jobs, physically, emotionally, psychologically. That's the word I was looking for. So that's option 1. That's one way you can do this. Trust me. And all 3 of these options, I'm going to be pretty specific in things I'm looking for, because I'm looking for you to have taken the information from Mondays through Thursday's work and kind of putting it into a coherent kind of summary. So hopefully that helps for option number 1. I'm actually going to jump down to the third option because it is very similar to writing the letter, and it is writing out a well-developed paragraph, kind of a summary of what you've been working on through the week. But this particular paragraph, if you look at the assignment itself, I've actually attached a kind of like a skeleton or a frame of how you could probably put this well-thought paragraph together. You do choose this option, you're probably going to be writing on a page. If you're writing it physically, like in your packets, it's probably going to take up a page. The amount of sentences contained within it is probably going to come out to be about a page. And if you're typing this, it may not be a full page, but if you type it out, should probably come out to be maybe a little more than a half, 3/4 of a page, depending on what size font, what type of font you use. If you use anything crazy, I'm going to send it back and tell you to fix it. It's pretty obvious. So please make sure you're taking this seriously. Now, just kind of a walk through the breakdown of the skeleton of how I would like you to do this. Now, the opening of the paragraph needs to explain a little background history about what the Dust Bowl was, what was going on around this time. We know The Great Depression took place before this. If you go back to what we know about the Great Depression, what happened there, you might want to look at Tuesday's work for that. You could use information, give a little bit of background. What's going on right around this time, 1929, 1930. That should be at least the opening part of your paragraph. About 1 to 3 sentences, which should be no problem to kind of introduce. This is what's going on. These are a couple of things that's been taking place. Give me background. That way I know you've actually read the work, looked at the work, and have probably put it into a good opening part of your paragraph. Second part of your paragraph needs to at least state in about a sentence or two what caused the Dust Bowl. Now, this is going to be putting together all the information that you've gathered from the work this week and the causes of the Dust Bowl. Now, we haven't really covered a lot of them. We've done the conditions. I'm going to try to find some other material to attach to this. But if you can't find causes of the Dust Bowl, there's many places you can go. Like I said, I'm going to find information and probably attach some stuff. But if you search up through outside sources, you'll probably find some information that tells you what caused the Dust Bowl. And it should tie in with some of the stuff that we've talked about this week. Now, that's about a sentence. So you're probably looking at about 4 sentences right there. It's a good chunk of page. Now, you're going to essentially, after that, is you're going to go ahead and answer your question, what caused the Dust Bowl? So you at least give me 3 reasons to prove your answer, using the information from the documents from this week should give you some causes, because each one of those questions, I know on those assignments, it had a question there that says, how did this relate to what caused the Dust Bowl? That should kind of help you write this paragraph. So make sure you're using that information to kind of prove your answer. That's about 3 more sentences. So you're looking at 7 sentences right there. And then the last little chunk of your paragraph, the next 3 to 6 sentences, kind of beefing up your evidence, is need to explain your reasons with evidence from the documents you looked at this week. So like I said, go ahead and giving your responses, what caused the Dust Bowl, and then use evidence. Those documents are there for a reason. Look some of the facts, look at some of the figures. You can pull direct quotes from some of those documents to back up your case of, this is why the Dust Bowl took place. If you look at a quote from this person saying this, kind of gives you an explanation of whatever your evidence is. So that's 3 to 6 more sentences. You're looking at about 10 more. You're looking at about a total of 10 sentences. And then finally, like all good paragraphs, you need a conclusion. That's looking at least a page if you're writing it out on hand. Now, that's the second option. They sound like a lot, but it's the whole point of this thing is kind of to sum this up. Either you're doing it in the letter or you're doing it in this paragraph. Now, the last option is you're going to create a picture response to the question, how did the Dust Bowl affect the lives of Texans? Now, we've kind of done this a couple of ways in class already with our visual timelines. We've done them in blocks of 4. You're going to do the same thing with this one and create 4 pictures kind of describing how the Dust Bowl affected the lives of Texans. Now, you need at least 4 pictures, a before, a during, and an after. That's 3 pictures. So one of them, you're going to have an extra one. It can either be 2 befores, 2 durings, 2 afters. But the whole point of this, kind of like if you've looked at some of the pictures in the documents from some of the work this week, they've had little captions underneath, kind of giving little, we've done this with our visual timelines too, giving little explanations about what's going on in that picture. You're going to be doing the same thing. With those 4 pictures, you're going to explain how life was changed because of the Dust Bowl. Before the Dust Bowl, what are they doing? Caption at the bottom says, this is what was taking place before the Dust Bowl. If you're doing your picture about what's going on during the Dust Bowl, you could draw what's happening and then explain. You could probably use some of the evidence from one of the documents that explains essentially what is going on. What are the dust storms? What caused the dust storms? And then same thing after the word, for the after picture, show what's going on and make sure you have that caption at the bottom that says, because of the Dust Bowl, this happened. So please make sure if you are doing that option for the artistic types out there, that's probably a good thing to look for. But if you do choose this option, I'm going to be really paying attention to your picture in the caption, making sure that it's something that relates to the Dust Bowl and how it affected the lives of people before, during, and after the Dust Bowl. So I know these all kind of sound like it's terrifying, big things. You got to write an essay. Trust me, if you use the work that you've done all this week and you put some time and effort into it, this should be no problem. And also, because I know this work is technically due Monday, if you're working on it and you're just having a hard time on it, shoot me a message and say, hey, Mr. Kepler, they need a little bit of extra time, especially if you're doing it online. Let me know. And especially for this, if you have any questions on this, how do I do this? How can I explain that? What should I look for if I'm trying to explain this? Let me know. I can't help you if you don't ask questions. So if you have any questions on this one, especially Friday's work, because I'm going to be looking for really specific things, because like I said, this is a summary type exercise, which should be, it's kind of like the assessment, if you want to look at it that way. But just like any of the other assignments, if you have any questions whatsoever, ask. I can't help you if you don't ask me questions. And as always, if you got a message, shoot me an email, send me a quick message in the Google Classroom, and I'll try to answer it as quick as I can. And if you don't have any questions, like I said, feel free to send me a message on Google Classroom. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you later.